Okay, kids, gather round. It's story time with Uncle Bob. Oh, I'm gonna be real with y'all in this segment. Can I do that? Huh? Can I? I hope. You ever have one of those days when you're a little off and you're running a little bit late for work and just things are not really going the way they should? Yeah, well, that happened to me this morning. Sunday morning. And look, and I know what some of the traditionalists are going to say. It's Sunday morning. What are you doing going to work? You should go to church. And I would tell them, I said, look, my employer had severely cut or curtailed my hours by accident. Okay. And then, fortunately, though, I was able to get my hours reinstated because they had hired somebody else. They'd given her more hours than I did, and then, I got her hours anyway, and we're good now with me and the employer, fortunately. Um, so this morning, like yesterday was a beautiful day here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I got up to like 60 degrees, and I was like, there's no way it's going to get that cold tonight. I was thinking, okay, if it gets cold, it might get 40, maybe 38 or so, but no colder than that. Got up this morning, had to, fortunately, I had enough time to do this. I had to start the car up like 10 minutes before I left because it was covered in frost. Turns out it got down to like 30 last night. It got really cold. And I had left my iPod out in the car, which is a big no-no. And of course, it was in a little compartment away from maybe the wandering eyes of the neighborhood, fortunately. But I got in the car, it'd been warmed up 10 minutes. It was good to go. The iPod was not good to go. The battery was dead. And unfortunately, I was at a point in my playlist that I wanted to be at, but I could not access it because the battery's dead. So I just put the iPod in there and I pushed the play button like, the next track button about 37 times and got to, okay, I'll do that for the commute. Anyway, let me get to the point here. I'm rambling as usual, but whatever. So I start driving, and I get to about 60% of the way through my commute. Okay, and I get off. Just gotten on the Wendover Avenue from I-73. Just south of Greensboro. Okay, I go through the first traffic light, Piedmont Parkway. It's about 8:50 on a Sunday morning. Hardly any traffic. At this time, it was probably me and maybe it was a little cluster of us at that particular time because I think the light had just turned green not too long ago. So there's maybe 4, maybe 5 cars in a little cluster. Okay. Now, just after this traffic light, there is a median cut, where cars coming from, because this is a dual highway, so cars coming down the other way can turn left or make a U-turn. Okay. And of course, I'm telling you all this because I was in a big hurry this morning and I forgot to take an extra 30 seconds and put my dash cam on the rack and then plug it into the cigarette lighter in my car. I just, for some reason, did not want to do that for some reason. I was like, oh, I'm running late. I don't want to run there 45 seconds late. I was like, I didn't have my dash cam plugged in. And that, I was like, oh, and of course, what I'm about to tell you turned out to be like, oh man, I should have had my dash cam on. Because what happened was there were 2 cars, and they decided that they could not wait an extra 5 seconds for the little cluster of 4 or 5 cars to go past them at like 55, 60 miles an hour. They could not wait that extra few seconds. These two cars, I mean, it was one car right after the other car. It's like, I don't know about you, but when I drive, you should never, when you're making a turn or something like that, you should never assume the driver in front of you knows what they're doing. You should never just blindly follow them. And that's what this, you know, the car and then the car behind them, they did a U-turn right in, almost right in front of, traffic that's doing 55 mile an hour, cruising right along. Now, fortunately, there was no wreck. And fortunately, I was probably, because the traffic was starting to separate from Piedmont Parkway down Wendover. Okay, so traffic was starting to filter out a little bit. So I was, when the U-turn cutoff had occurred, I was probably a good 50 yards away from where, like, there were maybe two or three other cars in one cluster, and then one with me, another car next to me, a little bit further back. So I could see this happen, but it wasn't so far up that I had to slam on the brakes or beat the horn or anything like that, fortunately. Okay, so these two idiots in their vehicles make a U-turn right in front of traffic, live traffic that's going like 50, 55 mile an hour. Okay, they both go into the far right lane. Now, if there's anything good about what they did, is that they did not cut off the traffic in the left lane, aka the fast lane. No, they cut the person off in the right lane, the slower lane. So if there's any silver line to this, they made a U-turn into the slower lane. Okay, but what happens next is really the point that I'm going to belabor in this video, and that's this. Next thing that happens is these two cars, they get into the right turn lane. And where does this right turn lane go to? It goes to a parking lot. Guess what? It's Sunday morning. Guess where they're turned into? They're turned into a church parking lot. I'm not going to mention any names. Life Community Church. Excuse me. Life Community Church. Oh, I just said it again. And I think one of my coworkers goes there. Oh my gosh. What if that had been her in one of those cars? But it's okay. So yeah, these two church-going people cut off, and they could have waited like another 5 seconds for traffic to clear. There's this little cluster of 4 or 5 cars, but no, they wanted to make their little U-turn right then and there. They couldn't wait. And this was like happened like at 8:48, 8:49 on a Sunday morning. The church service at this church does not start until 9 a.m. So they had plenty of time. They could have afforded that extra 5 seconds of wait. And even if they were running late, I mean, the safe thing to do is just be patient. Wait for traffic to clear. And oh my gosh, if you can't do a U-turn properly, there's another entrance into this church. They could have and probably should have just gone to the traffic light and turned left on Piedmont Parkway and gone to the Piedmont Parkway entrance instead of the Wendover Avenue entrance. It just blows, my mind. You're going to church, so you should be in the right attitude to go to church. You shouldn't be cutting people off and driving recklessly like these two idiots did. I mean, but unfortunately, this is not the first time I've seen this in Greensboro. Now, I actually have a dash cam video clip of this. I was just driving down. Now, this was a little bit later in the day. This was probably around noon time. So there's a little bit more traffic, but still a person coming out of the Guilford United Methodist Church. Ooh, I name dropped again. Excuse me. Came right out and cut me off. I was cruising along minding my business, and they just cut me off. Now, fortunately, I had enough time to react and get in the other lane, but still, they cut me off, and I beeped the horn. I let them know, no, you know, and you know, I'm sorry, but I just, as a Christian myself, I just, there are certain things that you just should. I mean, you should not. Nobody should cut people off. If you're a Christian or an atheist, Republican, Democrat, whoever you are, you should not drive recklessly. Okay, but still, I really want to, put Christians. They need to be a little bit higher, on a pedestal. And there's just certain, you should drive safely. You should drive with a sense of patience and discernment. Now, sometimes patience, yeah, I get a little impatient. Everybody does, but discernment, being able to make the right decision at the appropriate time, right? Discernment is something that you should never lose, right? Um, just absolutely blows my mind. I even had this thought at work today. I was like, maybe churches should be giving their congregations driver's education classes, right? Yeah, I mean, I think that's unfortunate. What it's come to is just, and when I say driver's ed classes, maybe have a series on Sunday mornings during the sermon or during Sunday school. I think a lot of churches don't even have Sunday school anymore. Like I've noticed there's the old timers kind of church that have the Sunday school, and then there's like these new, more contemporary churches that just have their services. But yeah, during a Sunday service, do a sermon series on how to be a safe driver, and maybe there's this how to be a safe driver. What else am I saying? Yeah, and have biblical. Now, I know they didn't have cars during when the Bible was written, but still, get a pastor and maybe get a driver's ed instructor somewhere and have them come together and sort of develop some sort of like a curriculum or a sermon series or something. But there's another way to look at this, and that's and what I'm about to tell you is an attitude that no Christian should ever have, and that's that holier than thou attitude of, hey, my name is Joe Smith, and I'm a Christian, and I go to church on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. at Life Community Church, and I don't wait for anybody on the road. I drive as fast as I want, and I'll make U-turns in front of everybody, even cops if I have to. Okay, there's a holier than thou attitude, and then there's another attitude that's just that well, just trust Jesus. Jesus, take the wheel, right? I mean, Larry the Cable Guy. It's been probably at least 10, maybe 15 years ago now, during one of his acts. I think he's mentioned that his grandma said, Jesus, take the wheel, went literally, Jesus, take the wheel. In other words, you don't drive. You don't have your hands on the steering wheel anymore. Well, that's another attitude, is that you just say, like, okay, I'm gonna make this U-turn in front of there are 3 cars coming right at me at 60 miles an hour, and I know that I can wait 7 seconds till the traffic clears, but I'm gonna trust you, God, that you're gonna keep me safe while I do this stupid reckless maneuver. It's like, just Jesus, take the wheel. Just trust Jesus, right? I mean, that's another this the holier than attitude that I'm gonna do whatever I want when I'm driving, regardless of whoever it hurts, or Trust, it's like there's the right way, and it's the way that God would want you to, or there's the way that, oh, okay, you're gonna trust God so much that it's you don't have that discernment that God wants you to have. It's like you're just gonna be like, it's just crazy. It's trying to think of another example here. It's oh, it's like praying to God the morning of a big exam, or for if you're out of school, it could be praying to God. Like there's nothing wrong with praying to God, and there's nothing wrong with asking God for wisdom on a test or a job interview or praying to Him. But let's face it, if you haven't studied or prepared or learned about the company you're interviewing with or the job you're interviewing for, if you haven't done any of that, yeah, guess what? You're gonna fail. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've been a Christian. Well, I mean, I was raised in a Christian home, and got saved when I was 10. But even before I was 10, like I knew who God was, and I prayed and everything. But yeah, there were a couple times when I prayed, right? Like, please God, please, I wanna ace this test, please. But guess what? I didn't study for it. And guess what happened? I flunked, right? It's sort of the same thing with driving. You say, please God, please let me make this U-turn in front of 7 other cars that are coming right at me 60 miles an hour. I can't wait another 10 seconds. God, I gotta make this U-turn right now, please. What happens? Right? You're praying, okay? You're in other words, the worldly example of all this, that even if you're an atheist, you might be watching this video, you can take is you're trying to you're trying to make something that doesn't exist. You're trying to create something that doesn't exist, right? It's you know um it's like driving your car, and you want to drive the car 500 miles, but you only have enough gas to make it 50 miles. But yet you're praying, oh God, please, 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 God, please, 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 or you're just making something, you're trying to force things that just aren't there, right? It's another example is how many of us, right, myself included, have especially middle school and high school, not so much now. We wanted a girl to like us so much, or if you're a lady watching this, probably you want a guy to like you so much that you're just, please God, please, why isn't she like me? Why doesn't she want to go on a date? And then it's again forcing things that are not there. Blind, trusting God so much that God is always, no matter what, how recklessly you drive, Now, if I've been in a situation before, yeah, God, I've made some bad decisions when I'm driving, and yet God was there. But there's certain situations, like the one I described to you, that should, you just shouldn't. You should be, there should be, if you're a Christian, okay, there should be, God should tell you, He should be in your brain, and He should tell you, Robert, don't wait, don't make the U-turn just yet. There's a gap that's going to be coming up. You're just going to have to wait about 10 seconds for this traffic to clear, and then you can make your U-turn, right? Whew. Boy, I've gone 20 minutes on this. Wow. But anyway, That's all I have to say. Yeah, I next time, hopefully, I won't be running late. Next time, hopefully, I'll have a dash cam. So if this kind of thing happens again, you'll be able to see it. And, you'll be like, ha 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 ha. Anyway, for the conservative Pelican or gregarious drivers of Greensboro, Carolina, I don't know which channel I'm going to put this video on yet. I don't know. But please, drive like Jesus would want you to drive. Okay, now except for speed limits, I'm kind of libertarian when it comes to speed limits, but you get my drift, right? Yeah, make good decisions when you drive. That's all I have to say. Bye bye.